Let me tell you a story about a man who's technically one of the richest people on the planet, but he doesn't live like a billionaire in the way you might expect. He doesn't collect paychecks, he doesn't cash in stocks every year, and for a long time he didn't even own a house. I'm talking about Elon Musk. Now you might think, if he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, surely he must have a mountain of cash, right? Not exactly. You see, most of Elon Musk's wealth isn't sitting in a bank account. It's tied up in shares of Tesla, SpaceX, and other companies he founded. Those shares are worth a fortune, but only on paper. He can't buy a house, a company, or even dinner with them unless he sells. Wait, does Elon pay taxes on his shares? You might be wondering, if Elon Musk isn't selling shares, is he avoiding taxes altogether? Not exactly. Here's a lesser-known part of the story that's really important. When Elon is granted stock, say through a bonus or performance award, he doesn't just receive the full number of shares. There's a tax hit right at the time of allocation, even if he doesn't sell a single share. Let's say he's awarded 1,000 shares of Tesla. Based on the value of those shares, the government says, that's income. You owe tax now. But instead of making Elon pay in cash, the company withholds some of the shares to cover the taxes. So he might only receive 600 shares, with the remaining 400 shares automatically sold or withheld to pay the tax bill on his behalf. That means he does pay taxes even before he makes a dime from the shares. He ends up with fewer shares in hand than were originally granted, and crucially, he hasn't sold anything yet, but he's already been taxed. Those 600 shares today are worth more money than they were when he got allocated because of the increase in the stock price. Hence, his worth has increased. This is a big reason why Musk and many other executives turn to loans. They've already paid taxes up front. Their wealth is in shares they can't sell easily, or don't want to sell. So, to access cash without giving up more equity or triggering another round of taxes, they borrow. It's a carefully designed system that allows them to stay invested while still having liquidity. But here's where the story gets interesting. Elon doesn't want to sell, because if he does, he'd owe billions in taxes. So what does he do instead? He takes out loans, backed by his stock. Imagine you own a mountain. It's too big to move, but people know it's full of gold. Instead of digging it up and selling the gold and paying taxes, you walk into a bank and say, hey, let me borrow money. I'll use my mountain as collateral. That's exactly what Elon Musk does with his stock. He walks into a bank and says, here are billions in Tesla shares. Let me borrow against them. And the banks say, sure. Why? Because to them, his Tesla stock is better than gold. It's valuable, and it keeps going up, usually. So they give him a massive loan, sometimes in the billions, without him ever having to sell a single share. Why would anyone do this? For Musk, it's brilliant. He keeps full ownership and control of his companies. He gets cash to spend, invest, or even buy new companies like X or Twitter. And here's the big one. He avoids paying capital gains tax, which could take 20 to 30% if he sold. This way, he gets liquidity without giving up equity or triggering a huge tax bill. But there's a catch. This story isn't all upside. Because if Tesla stock drops too far, the bank might say, hey Elon, your shares aren't worth as much. We need more collateral, or you have to repay some of the loan now. That's called a margin call. If he doesn't meet it, the bank can force him to sell his stock, sometimes at a bad time. That could shake investor confidence, crash the stock, and create a chain reaction. So, yes, it's a powerful move, but also a risky one. What can we learn from Elon's playbook? You don't need to be a billionaire to understand the lesson here. Musk is using a strategy the wealthy have used for decades. Borrow against appreciating assets instead of selling them. And while it might not apply to everyone, the principle is clear. Wealth on paper doesn't mean cash in hand. Selling too early can mean giving up future growth, or paying more taxes than necessary. And sometimes, the smartest move isn't to sell at all, but to leverage. So next time you hear that Elon Musk bought something for billions, just remember, he probably did it using someone else's money, backed by his own belief in what he built.